Imagine a planet covered by invisible oceans, orbiting a star you have never seen, and perhaps at that very moment something there is also wondering if we are alone. This audiobook accompanies you on a 2-hour journey through the most incredible data of the universe. From impossible worlds to secrets hidden in the light of the stars. While the body rests, the mind explores, and each piece of data is a spark that ignites curiosity. Because in this vast cosmos, sleeping does not mean stopping dreaming. Since ancient times, humanity has looked to the sky and imagined other worlds. The idea that there may be life beyond our small blue planet is as old as humanity itself. In our journey through this topic, we will explore how the search for extraterrestrial life is not only a scientific question but also a quest for identity. Who are we compared to the possible civilizations that could exist in other parts of the universe? Science has made great strides in understanding our own planet and the conditions that allow for life, but what does life really mean? Is it only what we know here on Earth, or could there be forms of life that we cannot even imagine? By delving into this mystery, we enter a realm where biology, chemistry, and physics intertwine in a fascinating dance of possibilities. On this journey, we will also pause to contemplate the vastness of the universe. The Milky Way, our galaxy, contains hundreds of billions of stars. Some of them may have planetary systems similar to ours. How many of these planets could harbor the right conditions for life? As science advances, the possibility that there are other habitable worlds becomes more plausible. Scientists have dedicated considerable efforts to searching for signals from intelligent civilizations. Programs like SETI, which stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, employ various techniques to listen to the whispers of the cosmos in search of messages from other forms of life. But what would happen if we actually found a signal? How would we react to the possibility that we are not alone? Additionally, we have sent our own messages into space, such as the famous golden record of the Voyager probes. This record is an attempt to show other civilizations who we are and what we value. However, can we really convey the complexity of humanity in a simple record? Is it enough to communicate our essence? As we explore the ongoing projects such as SETI at home and the Allen Telescope Array, we encounter a landscape filled with hope and challenges. How far are we willing to go to listen to our cosmic neighbors? The search for signals of life is not just a job for scientists, but a collective effort that unites us in our shared curiosity. The Kepler mission has been a milestone in identifying exoplanets, those that orbit other stars. The ability to discover worlds in habitable zones has changed our perception of life in the universe. How many of those planets could host forms of life different from what we know? The diversity that could be found in the cosmos is truly astonishing. But amid this search, a troubling question arises: the Fermi paradox. If the universe is so vast and there are so many possibilities, why have we not yet found signals of intelligent life? There are many theories that attempt to answer this question, from the idea that civilizations self-destruct before they can communicate, to the possibility that they are already here, but we do not recognize them. Mysterious signals, like the famous wow signal, have left us perplexed and full of questions. What do they mean? Are they really signals of life, or simply natural phenomena? The uncertainty surrounding these events drives us to continue exploring and seeking answers. When considering what life might be like on other planets, we encounter fascinating theories about alternative life forms. Could there be non-biological life, or perhaps silicon-based organisms instead of carbon-based ones? This type of speculation leads us to expand our understanding of what it means to be alive. Preparing for possible contact with extraterrestrial life is not just an exercise in imagination, it is a matter of ethics and responsibility. Are we ready to welcome our cosmic neighbors? How should we behave in the face of a potential encounter? These questions are crucial, as they could define the future of our species. Finally, reflecting on the impact of a discovery of life beyond Earth leads us to consider the social, scientific, and philosophical implications. How would our view of ourselves and our place in the universe change? The search for extraterrestrial life is not just a journey into the unknown. It is a journey toward understanding our own humanity. Every step we take in this search brings us a little closer to unveiling the mystery of life in the cosmos. Curiosity drives us to move forward, to explore what lies beyond our horizon, and so the search for extraterrestrial life becomes a mirror in which we can see our hopes, fears, and dreams reflected. Are we ready to continue this journey and discover what is out there? Earth, our home, is a small oasis in a vast ocean of space. But have you ever questioned how this special place came to exist? The history of Earth is, in many ways, a cosmic epic that spans billions of years. Let's begin our journey about 4.5 billion years ago, when our planet started to form from a cloud of gas and dust orbiting the young sun. Imagine a gigantic whirlwind in space where small particles come together and collide. Over time, these collisions became more frequent and the particles grouped together, creating larger bodies. As these bodies collided and merged, a young planet emerged from the chaos. In this scenario, Earth formed as a hot, molten sphere where volcanoes erupted and meteoroids impacted its surface. But how did it become the blue planet we know today? Over millions of years, Earth began to cool. The first torrential rains, falling incessantly, filled the basins and gave rise to the oceans. In these vast bodies of water, the magic of life began to develop. But for life as we know it to arise, we needed certain chemical elements and suitable conditions. What are these elements that form the foundation of life? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen are the protagonists in this story. These elements are the building blocks of organic molecules which form the basis of life. Imagine they are like the bricks of a house. Without these bricks, we couldn't build anything. But it's not just about the elements. Temperature, pressure, and the presence of liquid water are equally essential conditions. But what if I told you that these same elements and conditions could exist on other planets? The search for life is not limited to our planet. As we explore the universe, we discover that there are billions of stars in the Milky Way, many of which could have their own planetary systems. Some of these planets are in the habitable zone, where conditions could be similar to those on Earth. It's as if they are in the right place at the right time for life to have a chance to flourish. Now, how do we know there is life elsewhere? The answer to this question is complex and fascinating. Science has developed tools and methods to search for signs of life in the universe, but what if we find nothing? This is where the Fermi paradox comes into play, posing an intriguing question. If the universe is so vast and ancient, why haven't we found evidence of other civilizations? Earth, in its youth, was an inhospitable place, full of chaos and danger. However, over time, it stabilized and became a conducive environment for life. This leads us to think about the stages of development that other planets might experience. Could we be looking at the sky and seeing worlds in conditions similar to our childhood, waiting for life to emerge on them? It is also important to remember that life on other planets might not resemble anything we know. There could be silicon-based organisms instead of carbon-based ones, or even forms of life that do not need water. The diversity of life is astonishing, and the universe could be a true laboratory of biological experiments. As we continue our search, we not only explore space, but also question our own place in it. Reflecting on how Earth formed and the possibilities of life on other worlds invites us to consider our own existence and the fate of humanity. Are we alone in the cosmos, or are we just one of many stories unfolding in the vastness of the universe? So as we continue to explore our planet and beyond, let's remember that every star we see in the sky could host its own system of worlds, each with its own story to tell. The search for life is not just a scientific topic. It is an exploration of our own humanity and our innate desire to understand the cosmos that surrounds us. The story of Earth is just the beginning of a much larger narrative, and we are here to discover it. On this journey into the unknown, each discovery brings us a little closer to answering the questions that have fascinated humanity since time immemorial. So keep an open mind and your curiosity alive, because the adventure is just beginning. The story of Earth is just a chapter in the great book of the universe, and what remains to be written is even more exciting. Will you dare to join us in this quest? If you're enjoying this journey through the universe and want to keep exploring more cosmic mysteries, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Thank you for being part of this Star Odyssey. The search for life in the universe is not just a matter of curiosity, but also a deep desire to understand what makes our planet special. But what does it really take for life to exist, to begin with? Let's talk about the fundamental chemical elements that form the basis of all known life. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen are essential. Think of them as the pieces of a cosmic puzzle. Without these pieces, we simply wouldn't have the complete picture. Scientists believe that, like in a great kitchen, these chemical elements must combine in certain ways to form more complex molecules, such as amino acids and proteins, which are the building blocks of life. But what are the necessary conditions for these reactions to occur? Temperature, pressure, and the presence of liquid water are crucial. Imagine that water is the canvas on which the masterpiece of life is painted. Without water, we wouldn't have the color palette needed to create. Now let's look at other places in the universe. Could there be planets where these conditions are met differently than on Earth? The answer is yes. There are planets in the habitable zone of their stars where the temperature is suitable for water to exist in liquid form. But what happens if a planet is too close to its star, like Mercury in our solar system? It could be a hot and hostile place. On the other hand, a planet that is very far away could be covered in ice, a frozen world where life might find ways to exist in the depths. A fascinating concept is the possibility that life does not need exactly the same conditions we have here on Earth. There are theories about life based on other elements such as silicon, which could serve as an alternative chemical basis. Imagine a life that does not depend on carbon chemistry but on a completely different chemistry. What would that be like? It would be like seeing a painting made with colors we have never seen. However, the possibilities are not limited to planets. The moons of gas giants such as Europa, which orbits Jupiter, and Titan, which orbits Saturn, have also been the subject of study. Europa has a liquid water ocean beneath its ice crust, making it an intriguing candidate for hosting life. In contrast, Titan has rivers and lakes of methane, a completely different environment. Could there be life forms adapted to those strange landscapes? The chemistry of life is just one part of the equation. Energy also plays a crucial role. On Earth, solar energy is fundamental for photosynthesis. But what about creatures living in the depths of the ocean? There, life thrives thanks to the chemical energy that comes from hydrothermal vents. This suggests that life may be much more adaptable than we think. What other types of energy could be used in remote places in the universe? As we explore more about the possibility of life, it is essential to remember that we are still only at the beginning of this amazing journey. Science is advancing rapidly, and each new discovery brings us closer to answering questions that once seemed unreachable. Every time we find an exoplanet in the habitable zone, excitement grows. Could this planet be a home for living beings? And if so, what would they be like? The search for life also leads us to question our own existence. Are we alone in the universe, or are we just one of many forms of life that could exist? Each discovery in this field drives us to reflect on our position in the vast cosmos. The possibility that we are not the only ones is both a terrifying and fascinating thought. The immensity of the universe also plays a role in these questions. The galaxy is filled with stars, many of which have their own planetary systems. With each new star we discover, a range of possibilities opens up. How many planets could harbor life? Some calculations suggest that there could be billions of planets in our galaxy that might be habitable. What stories would those worlds tell us if they could speak? Finally, let's reflect on our innate curiosity. The search for life in the cosmos is an extension of our desire to understand the world around us. Every question we ask leads us to new adventures and discoveries. What does the future hold for us? As technology advances and our understanding of the universe deepens, the search for life becomes an endless journey. Life on other planets might not just be a possibility, but a fact waiting to be discovered. The excitement of this journey is just beginning, and perhaps one day we will find answers to humanity's deepest questions. The Milky Way, our galaxy, is a vast ocean of stars, a place where each bright point could be a sun similar to ours, possibly with a system of planets orbiting around it. But how many of these stars have planets? And even more intriguingly, how many of those planets could harbor life? Imagine that each star is an invitation to explore, a potential home for beings we may have never encountered. The Milky Way is not just a mantle of light in the night sky. It is a complex and fascinating structure. It is estimated to contain between 100 billion and 400 billion stars. Can you imagine how many planets could exist in those systems? Most astronomers agree that there are more planets than stars, which means that the number of potential worlds where life could arise is astonishingly high. And this is where the story becomes even more exciting. Not all planets are alike. Some are located in the habitable zone, that region where conditions might be suitable for life as we know it. This is the place where the temperature allows for liquid water to exist, an essential element for life. But what about the planets that are outside this zone? Could they harbor forms of life that challenge our current understanding? The diversity of planets in the Milky Way is astounding. There are gas giants, icy worlds, and rocky planets similar to Earth. Some may have dense atmospheres, while others could be exposed to intense radiation from their star. Each of these worlds offers a unique setting for life, and each raises fascinating questions. Could life exist on a gas-covered planet? Or on one that barely receives sunlight? Moreover, some scientists suggest that there could be life in unexpected places, such as on the moons of gas giants. Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, has a subsurface ocean of liquid water. This raises an intriguing possibility. If there is water, is there life? And if we look towards Titan, Saturn's moon, we find a world with lakes of methane. Could life thrive in such a strange environment? Let's also consider the concept of rogue planets. These are worlds that do not orbit a star but float freely in space. Although it sounds unpromising, some scientists believe they could harbor life in forms we do not yet understand. What would life be like on a planet that never sees the light of a star? This idea leads us to rethink our notions of what it means to be habitable. The magnitude of the Milky Way and the diversity of its planets invite us to reflect on our own existence. If we are here, in this small corner of the universe, is it possible that others are also searching for their place in this vast cosmos? The possibility that we are not alone is both exciting and terrifying. It fills us with questions about the nature of life and the place we occupy in the grand scheme of the universe. The search for life in the Milky Way is not just a scientific question, it is a quest for meaning. Every discovery we make about other planets and their conditions brings us closer to better understanding our own home Earth. By exploring what lies beyond, we also explore who we are and where we come from. And when we think about the immensity of the universe, it is impossible not to feel a mix of humility and awe. The Milky Way is just one of billions of galaxies that exist. Each galaxy is a vast sea of possibilities, where life may be flourishing in ways we have never imagined. What secrets are waiting to be discovered in those other worlds? Science is constantly advancing, and more space missions are designed to explore these mysteries. From telescopes that penetrate the darkest corners of the galaxy to probes traveling to distant planets, we are piecing together a cosmic puzzle. But the question remains, what does the future hold in this search? Will we find answers to our deepest questions, or will we uncover even more perplexing questions? The vastness of the Milky Way reminds us that we are just a small fragment of a much greater whole. In every star, in every planet, there is infinite potential. The search for life is not just a scientific endeavor, but a journey toward understanding what it means to be part of this vast universe. Human curiosity is insatiable, And as we progress in our exploration of the cosmos, we find ourselves ever closer to the answer to the question that has fascinated humanity since time immemorial. Are we alone in the universe? So, as we gaze at the starry sky, let us remember that each point of light is a possibility, each star a story yet to be told. The search for life in the Milky Way is not just a matter of science, it is a journey into the unknown, a journey that invites us to dream and explore, to discover who we are in the vast fabric of the cosmos. The search for intelligent life in the universe is a topic that sparks curiosity in everyone. How can we know if there are other beings out there observing the same vast starry sky as we are? The answer to this question may be closer than we think. Thanks to the work of institutions like SETI, which stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. This organization is dedicated to investigating and listening to the universe for signals from civilizations that may be sending messages. Imagine for a moment that you are in a large concert hall where musical notes float in the air. In this context, each star in the sky is like an instrument in the orchestra of the universe. SETI is responsible for tuning its microphones to capture the melodies that might be emitted by those distant instruments. But how is this done? One of the most common ways that SETI searches for signals is through radio astronomy. This involves the use of radio telescopes, which are like enormous ears capable of listening to radio frequencies traveling through space. With these telescopes, scientists can scan the sky for signals that shouldn't be there. Think of it as a detective looking for clues. Each signal is a potential hint that someone somewhere is trying to communicate. However, not all the signals they receive are necessarily of extraterrestrial origin. Sometimes they can be interference from satellites or even devices on Earth. That's why the SETI team must be extremely careful when analyzing the data. They face a sea of noise and must separate what is real from what is not. This is like trying to listen to a conversation amid the din of a crowd. The key is to find patterns that may indicate there is something more than just noise. One of SETI's most exciting missions was the search for signals using the Arecibo telescope, which unfortunately is no longer operational. However, before its collapse, it sent a message into space in 1974. Composed of information about humanity and our planet, this message was like a bottle thrown into the cosmic ocean, hoping that someday another civilization would find it and respond. But what information would you include in such a message? On the other hand, SETI has also received mysterious signals that have left scientists puzzled. One of the most famous is the WOW signal, which was detected in 1977. This burst of radiation was so unusual that the astronomer who discovered it named it that way because his reaction was to write "wow" on the printout of the data. But what did that signal really mean? Was it a message from an advanced civilization, or just a natural phenomenon that we still don't understand? SETI's work does not stop at the passive search for signals. It also engages in innovative projects like SETI at Home, which allows people from around the world to contribute to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence from the comfort of their homes. By installing a program on their computers, volunteers help analyze the data collected, turning each computer into a small arm of the search. This is similar to a large puzzle where every piece counts, and each person who joins can be the key to solving it. Moreover, SETI does not rely solely on radio telescopes. It also investigates other methods and technologies, such as the use of optical telescopes that look for flashes of light that could be emitted by advanced civilizations. The idea is that a civilization with sufficiently advanced technology might use lasers to communicate, sending light signals across the cosmos. Imagine them as beacons shining in the darkness of the universe, hoping someone will see them and respond. As technology advances, so do the possibilities of the search. New tools and techniques are constantly being developed, allowing scientists to explore regions of space that were previously unreachable. It's as if humanity is opening more windows to the universe, increasing the opportunities to find something extraordinary. However, the path to discovery is not without challenges. The vastness of the universe means that wait times can be long and results uncertain. But hope and curiosity drive researchers to keep going, to keep listening and searching, because every day could be the day we finally hear a voice from the stars. The search for intelligent life is more than just a simple desire to find company in the cosmos. It is a quest that teaches us about ourselves. It invites us to reflect on what it means to be human and our relationship with the universe. Are we alone, or are we part of a broader cosmic community? As SETI continues its work, we are reminded that curiosity and the desire for knowledge are part of our essence. So every time you look up at the sky and see the twinkling stars, remember that each one of them could be a potential home for other conscious beings, perhaps also waiting for someone to listen to them. The search for intelligent life is a journey that is just beginning, and each step we take brings us a little closer to unraveling the mysteries of the universe. Undoubtedly, the future of space exploration and the search for extraterrestrial life is filled with exciting possibilities, and we are all part of this cosmic adventure. What if you could send a message to the stars, a message that could be heard by other civilizations in the vast universe? This idea has captured the imagination of scientists and dreamers alike since the 1970s. When the Voyager probes were launched into space, humanity has attempted to communicate with possible forms of intelligent life beyond our planet. But how is this done? What messages have we sent, and what do they really mean? One of the most emblematic examples of these efforts is the Voyager Golden Record. This record is not just a physical object, it is a compendium of human culture and knowledge. Imagine a vinyl record that contains music from different cultures, greetings in over 50 languages, and a variety of images that showcase the diversity of life on Earth. The idea was that if an extraterrestrial civilization ever found the probe, they could understand something about us through this record. Isn't it amazing to think about the possibility that someone in a distant corner of the universe might hear our music? But what about the Arecibo message? In 1974, a powerful radio transmitter in Puerto Rico sent a message into space directed at a star cluster called M13. This message, composed of a series of radio pulses representing numbers and patterns, was designed to describe our civilization, our DNA, and our location in the cosmos. But can communication really happen this way? Can an extraterrestrial being decipher a code that was conceived by humans with a completely different context? The messages sent into space are not just an act of curiosity, they are a way to connect with the unknown. But what if we actually received a response? The idea of receiving a message from another civilization raises fascinating questions. How would we react? Would we have the ability to understand their language and culture? The possibilities are as varied as the stars in the sky. It is important to consider that by sending these messages, we are also exposing our existence. Like a lighthouse in the dark, our signals may attract the attention of beings who might not have peaceful intentions. Is it wise to show the universe that we are here? Human history is full of encounters between civilizations that have not always ended well. But does knowledge not outweigh the risk? Meanwhile, projects like SETI, which stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, have been listening to the silence of the cosmos in search of answers. They use radio telescopes to capture signals that could be of non-terrestrial origin. However, so far the silence has been overwhelming. What does this mean? Are we alone in the universe, or have we simply not found the right way to listen? Science fiction has imagined many scenarios of contact, from friendly encounters with beings from other worlds to hostile invasions. But what does this tell us about our own hopes and fears? The way we portray extraterrestrials in popular culture reflects much about our own humanity. Are we projecting our ambitions or our fears onto the unknown? At its core, the messages sent into space represent more than an attempt at communication. They are a reflection of our essence as a species. The search for connection is a fundamental part of being human. We want to know if there are others who also look to the sky, wondering if they are alone. Curiosity drives us to seek, to explore, and to discover. Every message we send into the cosmos is a step into the unknown. Every attempt at communication is a testament to our hope and our brave quest for answers. The question is not just whether there is life out there, but also what we would say if we had the chance to speak. So, in the vast theatre of the universe, every signal we send is like a note in a cosmic symphony. Who knows, perhaps one day in a corner of space, someone is listening and responding to our call. Until then, we will continue sending our messages filled with dreams, questions, and an unwavering desire for connection. What if I told you that right now, there is a group of scientists working hard to listen to whispers from the universe? These are projects like SETI, which stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And what exactly are they looking for? The answer is simple yet fascinating. They want to detect signals from possible civilizations on other planets. Imagine a vast ocean of stars and planets where each one could be a home for forms of life. Now think of all those planets as islands scattered across that ocean. SETI scientists are trying to find a way to communicate with those distant islands, searching for signals that indicate we are not alone in this vast expanse. But how can they do it? The answer lies in technology. They use radio telescopes, which are like enormous ears listening into space, searching for any type of signal that seems out of the ordinary. Think of them as detectives on a grand quest, trying to decipher a hidden message in the noise of the universe. But what kind of signals are they looking for? They search for radio signals, which are like the sound waves we use to communicate here on Earth. But instead of words, they could be patterns of pulses that might indicate the presence of intelligence. Can you imagine receiving a message from another world? That thrill is what motivates researchers to continue their work. An interesting example is the SETI at Home project. This program allows people from all over the world to participate in the search for extraterrestrial signals from the comfort of their homes. How do they do it? With their computers, which help analyze large volumes of data collected by radio telescopes. It's as if each of us has a small role in this grand cosmic adventure. Isn't it amazing to think that you could be part of the search for life in the universe? The Allen Telescope Array is another key player in this story. This array of radio telescopes is specifically designed to listen for radio signals, but what makes it so special? Its ability to observe multiple frequencies at the same time. This way, scientists can scan the sky more quickly and accurately. It's like having a superpower to hear everything happening in the cosmos. However, despite all these efforts, the search for signals of intelligent life has not yielded results so far. Why? There could be several reasons. Perhaps advanced civilizations are extremely rare, or maybe they are so different from us that we wouldn't recognize their signals, or they could be trying to communicate. But we don't know how to listen properly. Science fiction has fueled many of our ideas about what extraterrestrial life might be like. Some people imagine technologically advanced civilizations, while others assume they could be forms of life completely different from what we know. This raises an intriguing question. If we found a signal, would we know how to interpret it? Would we be able to decipher the message from a being that thinks and lives differently from us? Moreover, we must consider time. The light from the stars we see in the sky has traveled for light years to reach us. So if we ever receive a signal, it could be an echo from a civilization that no longer exists. This makes the search even more complex and exciting. Every time we hear a buzz in space, it could be an echo of something that happened thousands or millions of years ago. Imagine the possibilities. What if one day, while listening through our radio telescopes, we capture a pattern that cannot be explained? A signal that seems too organized to be mere cosmic noise. In that moment, the hearts of scientists and enthusiasts would beat in unison, and the entire world would stop to listen. The search for intelligent life leads us to reflect on our own existence. If we are capable of searching and asking ourselves, who else in the universe might be doing the same? The search for signals of life is not just a scientific exercise, but also a philosophical exploration of our place in the cosmos. As we continue these investigations, each discovery brings us a little closer to answering one of humanity's oldest questions. Are we alone in the universe? The search for intelligent life reminds us that we are part of something much larger and that perhaps curiosity and the desire to explore are the most human traits we possess. So, as technology advances and more people join this search, the hope of finding extraterrestrial life remains alive. Every signal, every discovery, every small step we take in this vast and mysterious adventure brings us a little closer to unveiling the secrets of the universe. And who knows, maybe one day we will hear an answer to our most intriguing question. The Kepler mission has been a milestone in the search for exoplanets, those distant worlds that orbit stars beyond our solar system. But what exactly is this mission, and why is it so important for understanding the possibility of life in the universe? To answer this, it is essential to understand how it all began. In 2009, NASA launched the Kepler Space Telescope with a single goal: to search for Earth-like planets in the Milky Way. It was like sending a treasure hunter into the vast ocean of space, hoping to find habitable islands. Imagine a vast field of wheat where each ear represents a star. Kepler focused on a small sector of this field, looking for the ears that have something special, planets in the habitable zone of their stars. This zone is crucial because here the temperatures allow for the existence of liquid water, an essential ingredient for life as we know it. But how can a telescope so far away detect such tiny planets? The answer lies in the transit technique. When a planet passes in front of its star, it blocks a small part of the light, causing a slight dip in the star's brightness. This change, although subtle, is what Kepler is designed to capture. Remember that we are talking about unimaginable distances. The Milky Way is about 100,000 light-years in diameter, and Kepler observed a fraction of this vast galaxy. Nevertheless, in its mission, it managed to identify over 2,000 confirmed exoplanets and thousands of candidates. Isn't it amazing to think that in a corner of the universe, life could be flourishing on worlds we have never seen? The diversity of these planets is also surprising. Some are gas giants like Jupiter, while others are rocky and similar in size to Earth. But what does this mean for our search for life? The variety suggests that life could exist in forms we cannot imagine. Perhaps there are oceans of water on distant worlds, or temperature and pressure conditions that allow life to exist in forms completely different from those we know. This broadens our perspectives and forces us to rethink what it means to be habitable. The Kepler mission not only focused on finding exoplanets, but also provided us with valuable information about their composition. By analyzing the light from stars, scientists can infer whether a planet has the right atmosphere to maintain liquid water. This is vital, as the presence of water increases the possibility of life. Can you imagine an Earth-like planet with oceans of water and a rich oxygen atmosphere? One of the most exciting discoveries of Kepler was the identification of exoplanets in the so-called habitable zone. These are planets that orbit at just the right distance from their star, where temperatures allow water to remain liquid. This discovery has led scientists to pose intriguing questions. If there are so many planets in the habitable zone, why haven't we found signs of life? To answer that question, we must consider time. Earth has existed for over 4 billion years, and life has had plenty of time to adapt and evolve. If there are other similar planets, could they have had the same time to develop life? Or perhaps the conditions on those planets have not been suitable for long enough. It's as if we were searching for someone in a vast city. We might not find them because they haven't arrived at the station yet. The Kepler mission has also opened the door to new technologies and research methods. With the knowledge gained about exoplanets, more advanced telescopes have been developed, such as the James Webb Space Telescope, which promises to explore the universe in wavelengths that Kepler could not. This will allow us to study the atmospheres of these planets in more detail and search for signs of life, such as gases that could indicate biological activity. One of the most fascinating questions arising from the Kepler mission is, are we looking in the right places? With so many planets discovered, the challenge now is to decide which ones to investigate further. Scientists must choose from thousands of candidates, weighing factors such as distance, composition, and temperature. It's a bit like selecting a restaurant to eat from a long list. There are so many options that it can be overwhelming. But each choice could lead to an extraordinary discovery. With each new exoplanet discovered, questions about the future of astrobiology also arise. The Kepler mission has shown that we are not alone in the universe, at least in terms of planets. The real question is whether any of them harbor life. As we advance in our understanding of the cosmos, the search for exoplanets becomes a journey that not only seeks ourselves but also connects us to a larger picture. In summary, the Kepler mission has been a beacon of hope in the search for life beyond our planet. With each discovery, the possibility that we are not alone in the universe becomes more tangible. This mission teaches us that the cosmos is full of mysteries, and that the search for life is one of the most exciting adventures humanity can undertake. As we explore these distant worlds, we are reminded that curiosity and the desire to understand our place in the universe are what drive us forward. Who knows what surprises the future holds? The Drake equation is like a recipe that helps us calculate how many intelligent civilizations might be communicating in our galaxy. But what ingredients do we need for this cosmic recipe? To understand it, it's essential to break it down into simpler parts. The equation starts with a number that represents the rate of formation of stars suitable for life, considering there are hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy. The figure is astonishing. But who says that all those stars could have planets? This is where exoplanets come in, those distant worlds that orbit other stars. The next part of the equation makes us think about how many of those planets might have the right conditions to host life. Imagine a pot where you mix water, soil, and a bit of heat. Planets must have the right balance of elements like carbon and oxygen, and the necessary conditions such as the right temperature and the presence of water. So, a planet that is in the habitable zone of its star, where it is neither too cold nor too hot, is a good candidate. Now let's move on to a crucial aspect: how many of those planets actually develop life? This is where things get more complicated. Life, as we know it, requires a very specific set of circumstances. Think about Earth. It has gone through millions of years of evolution for us to exist today. So how many planets in that vast galaxy have had the same time and conditions for life to emerge? Once life originates, the next question is about the duration of civilizations. Some civilizations may arise and disappear quickly, while others may last thousands of years. Considering that life on Earth has existed for over 3 billion years, how many civilizations have had enough time to develop and communicate? The duration of that existence is another crucial ingredient in our equation. As we continue to break down the equation, we come to the possibility that those intelligent civilizations develop technology capable of communication. In our world, technology advances by leaps and bounds. From writing to radio and television, we have found ways to connect. But is it enough for an extraterrestrial civilization to do the same? Will they have access to the same technology we do? The Drake equation, while fascinating, also leads us to consider what happens if we multiply all these factors. Imagine that each number in this recipe adds up, multiplies, and gives us a result. Is the result a large number that tells us there are thousands of civilizations waiting to be discovered? Or on the contrary, could it be a small number that tells us that solitude is more common than we think? The dilemma of the equation lies in the fact that many of its variables are uncertain. We don't have concrete data on how many stars have habitable planets or how many of these have developed life. Still, the Drake equation provides us with a framework that invites curiosity. It makes us question our place in the cosmos and pushes us to seek answers. But what if the result of the Drake equation tells us that there are intelligent civilizations out there, but we haven't made contact yet? The question arises, why haven't we heard anything? This is the essence of the Fermi paradox, which asks why, if there are so many possibilities, we haven't found clear signs of life. Perhaps when reflecting on the Drake equation, it's important to remember that each answer opens the door to new questions. What does life really mean? How can we recognize it in forms we are not used to seeing? The search for answers not only brings us closer to the possibility of extraterrestrial life, but also illuminates fundamental aspects of our own existence. So, in the end, the Drake equation is not just a mathematical formula, but a mirror that reflects our hopes, fears, and curiosity about the universe. It invites us to keep exploring, to keep asking, and perhaps to keep dreaming of a future where we are not alone in the vastness of the cosmos. The search for intelligent life is not only a scientific challenge, but an adventure that connects us to the deepest parts of our humanity. The search for life in the universe has been a fascinating topic for humanity, but we often find ourselves faced with a puzzling question: where is everybody? This enigma is known as the Fermi paradox. Originating from the curiosity of physicist Enrico Fermi, who, in a casual conversation during the 1950s, wondered why, despite the vastness of the universe and the number of stars and planets that could harbor life, we have not made contact with any extraterrestrial civilization. Imagine a vast ocean filled with islands. Each island represents a planet, and each has the potential to host life. However, despite the countless islands in this cosmic ocean, the ships sailing in search of other lands seem to be empty. Why, in such a large universe, have we not seen signs of other civilizations? Are we looking in the wrong place, or perhaps not looking in the right way? One possible answer to this dilemma is that advanced civilizations may be rare. Perhaps intelligent life is a precious gem in the immense sea of existence, but what makes a civilization become advanced? Is it the development of technology? Or is it the ability to communicate and explore beyond their own planet? If so, how many civilizations have reached this level and become extinct before we had the chance to detect them? Another theory suggests that intelligent civilizations tend to self-destruct before they can expand across the cosmos. The history of our own civilization is filled with wars, ecological disasters, and social crises. If many civilizations follow a similar path, we could be on the same trajectory as them, limited by our own actions. But is it possible that some civilizations have found a balance and learned to survive? On the other hand, there is the possibility that civilizations are out there, but we simply do not know how to listen. Perhaps their forms of communication are so different from ours that we do not recognize them. Imagine a message in a completely unknown language. We might have the means to receive it, but we cannot understand its content. Could we be surrounded by signals, yet unable to decipher their meaning? The idea is often raised that the universe could be an extremely lonely place. In this scenario, life could be a rarity, akin to a shooting star that appears once in a million. But what if the silence of the cosmos is a reflection of the very nature of life? Perhaps there are cosmic rules that prevent civilizations from communicating with each other, as if there exists a kind of great filter that acts as a barrier. This great filter could be a catastrophic event that wipes out civilizations before they can expand. Or it could be a stage in their evolution that is extremely difficult to overcome. But what if we have already passed that filter? Could we be the first civilization to move forward and actively seek out other forms of life? This idea, far from being a comfort, could be a great responsibility. Some scientists suggest that if we find intelligent life, they may not be interested in communicating with us, perhaps just as we observe nature. They could be silently watching our planet, or they may have decided not to interfere in our development. What if we are like a species in danger in a nature park, observed from afar but never touched? One of the most intriguing explanations is that aliens might be using technologies we cannot yet imagine. They may be communicating through methods that go beyond our current capabilities. Could it be that their signals are so advanced that we lack the technology to detect them? This leads us to the question, how advanced are these beings, and how can we prepare ourselves to understand their language? The question of the universe's silence also raises inquiries about the future of humanity. If we were to contact another civilization, are we ready to face the implications of such a discovery? It would be a historic moment, but also a challenge that could change our worldview and our own existence. How would we respond to their presence, with curiosity, fear, or a mix of both? Exploring the Fermi paradox leads us to reflect on our position in the universe. If we are fortunate, we might discover that we are not alone. But if the silence persists, we must also ask ourselves what that means for us. Are we destined to be the only voice of reason in a vast ocean of stars? Each passing day without an answer invites us to continue exploring, to keep searching. Ultimately, the Fermi paradox challenges us to look to the sky and question our existence. It encourages us to be brave in our quest for answers and not to lose hope that someday, perhaps, we can break the silence that surrounds us. The search for life in the universe thus becomes a journey not only toward other worlds, but also toward understanding ourselves and our place in the cosmos. With each question we ask, we move a little closer to the truth, even though the path is uncertain and filled with mysteries yet to be discovered. What are those mysterious signals that have puzzled scientists over the years? In the vast ocean of stars and galaxies, it sometimes seems like a whisper can be heard, an echo that could be the remnant of distant civilizations. These signals are so intriguing at times that they lead us to question not only our solitude in the cosmos, but also the very nature of life itself. One of the most famous signals is undoubtedly the WOW signal. It was detected in 1977 by an astronomer named Jerry R. Amon, who was working on the SETI project. Imagine being in a control room, monitoring data, and suddenly seeing a signal that shines brightly on the screen. That's what happened to Amon. The signal lasted exactly 72 seconds and came from a region of space in the constellation Sagittarius. Its intensity and duration were unusual, prompting Amon to write "Wow" in the margin of the datasheet. But what was it really? Despite numerous attempts to locate this signal again, it has never been captured again. This leads us to an intriguing question. Could it have been a message from an advanced civilization? Or simply a natural phenomenon that we still do not understand? The possibilities are as vast as the universe itself, and each answer brings with it new questions. In 2007, another signal captured the attention of the entire world. The pulsar PSR B054069. This pulsar, located in the Large Magellanic Cloud, emits beams of energy at regular intervals, almost like a cosmic lighthouse. But what makes it so special? Some scientists, upon observing the periodicity of its emissions, wondered if it could be an intentional signal from intelligent life. Although most agreed that it was in fact an astrophysical phenomenon, the fact that a simple signal could spark so much debate is fascinating. Now let's consider the signals that seem more enigmatic. In 2001, a signal called was recorded which showed unusual patterns and repetitions like the WOW signal. This signal has also generated more questions than answers. Some researchers suggested that it could be the result of human interference, while others proposed that it might be a message of extraterrestrial origin. Are we close to deciphering the language of the cosmos, or simply trapped in a game of illusions? We cannot forget the famous fast radio bursts, or FRBs. These signals, which last only milliseconds, have been detected in different parts of the universe. Some scientists have suggested that they could be the result of astronomical catastrophes, such as the merging of neutron stars. But what if they are actually attempts at communication from some distant civilization? The idea is intriguing, but we still do not have definitive answers. Each of these events leads us to reflect on the possibilities of life beyond our planet. What kind of technology might these civilizations possess? And how would they communicate with us? Human curiosity is insatiable, and each mysterious signal is a reminder that perhaps we are not alone. But why have we not managed to establish direct contact with any of them? One possible explanation is the vastness of the universe. The distances are so enormous that even if a signal were emitted, it could take thousands of years to reach us. Additionally, space is filled with interference that can distort or divert these signals. It's like trying to hear someone shouting from the other side of a city while there's a concert in between. How difficult could it be to capture a genuine signal amid all that noise? If these signals are the result of the natural activity of the universe, what does that tell us about our search? It invites us to continue exploring, to not give up in our quest for answers. Science is always based on questioning, on the search for new horizons. Each mysterious signal is a step toward a greater understanding of the cosmos and our place in it. The search for signals of life is not just a matter of advanced technology, it is also a philosophical journey. What does it mean to be human in such a vast universe? The signals we have discovered so far are not just numbers and waves. They are a reminder of our connection to the universe. They make us question what we know and lead us to explore the unknown. Every time a mysterious signal is detected, we come together as humanity in the hope that it could be the key to unraveling the mystery of life in the cosmos. It reminds us that although it may seem like we are alone, there is a vast universe surrounding us, full of possibilities and unanswered questions. What other secrets does the cosmos hold for us? Ultimately, the search for mysterious signals drives us to keep looking to the stars, to keep dreaming and exploring. Perhaps one day, one of these signals will lead us to genuine contact with another form of life. Until then, each signal we capture is one more reason to continue our search and fuel our curiosity. After all, the universe is a place full of wonders and perhaps invisible friends waiting to be discovered. Who can tell us what life would be like on other planets? The idea that there are completely different forms of life than those we know here on Earth is fascinating, but could we even recognize them if we saw them? Scientists have proposed many theories about what life might be like beyond our planet. Often we think of life forms similar to ourselves, with bodies that function in similar ways and are made of the same elements. However, what if life is not as we know it, but exists in completely different forms? Imagine a world where life is composed of silicon instead of carbon. It could be that these life forms are more resilient to extreme conditions, such as high temperatures or environments with intense radiation. Life on other planets could also take forms that do not require water, the element we consider essential for the existence of life. What about a species that uses ammonia as a solvent instead of water? This could open up a range of possibilities for where to search for life in the future, as we would not be limited to places where liquid water exists. With this in mind, another intriguing question arises. How could we recognize signs of life that bear no resemblance to us? The conditions on other planets are extremely diverse. For example, on Venus, temperatures are so high that lead melts. However, some theories suggest that there could be life in its clouds, in forms that are capable of surviving in such hostile environments. Could these organisms be able to float in the atmosphere using the corrosive gases to their advantage? Looking towards Mars, many have speculated about the possibility of microbial life in its icy and dusty landscapes. But what if life on Mars did not resemble anything we have seen before? Perhaps it would not be found on the surface, but underground, in an environment that preserves liquid water in the form of ice within. How could we search for life that is hidden beneath layers of rock and ice? Europa, Jupiter's moon, is another intriguing place. It is believed that beneath its icy surface lies an ocean of liquid water. But what if life there is not based on sunlight, but feeds on chemical reactions at the bottom of the ocean? These organisms could be completely dark and strange, adapted to an environment that bears no resemblance to Earth. How could we even imagine their existence? Life on Titan, Saturn's moon, could be even stranger. Titan has lakes and rivers of methane on its surface. What if there were beings that swam in those methane lakes, adapted to live in an environment that we would consider inhospitable? The idea of life forms thriving in conditions where we could not survive challenges our understanding of biology. Thinking about these possibilities leads us to a deeper reflection. Are we prepared to accept the diversity of life? If we were to discover a form of life that had nothing to do with ours, how would we react? Would we accept its existence or reject it for being different? Theories about alternative life also raise the possibility that there could be beings that are not biological at all. Imagine an artificial intelligence that has evolved in a completely different environment, where life is a construct based on data and algorithms rather than cells and DNA. How would they communicate with us? Would they be able to understand our emotions and thoughts? Moreover, all this speculation leads us to question the role of consciousness in life. Is consciousness a phenomenon exclusive to biological beings, or could there be forms of life that are conscious in ways we do not understand? In the end, the search for life on other planets is not just about finding beings similar to us, but about opening our minds to all the possibilities that the universe has to offer. Life, as we conceive it, could be just one of the many ways nature can express itself. Each new discovery in astrobiology brings us a little closer to understanding the magnitude of these possibilities. Life in the universe may be much more diverse and complex than we ever imagined. Are we ready to accept that life could be so extraordinary and varied? The answer to this question could change not only our view of the universe but also our understanding of ourselves. Human curiosity drives us to explore, to question, and to seek answers. In this quest, we may discover that life is much richer and more varied than we ever dreamed. The possibility that one day we might receive a message from an extraterrestrial civilization is a fascinating topic that evokes both curiosity and unease. How would we prepare for such an encounter? The idea that there is life beyond our planet raises profound questions about our existence and our place in the cosmos. When contemplating this, it is essential to reflect on how we should react if we suddenly discovered that we are not alone. The first reaction might be excitement. Imagine receiving a message from an advanced civilization, perhaps even from a place so distant that we could never have imagined it. However, amid the excitement, a crucial question arises. Are we really ready to respond? The history of humanity is filled with encounters that have not always ended well. The arrival of Europeans in America is an example of how communication between different cultures can have unexpected and often disastrous consequences. Communication with extraterrestrial life could be even more complex. How would we understand their language, their intentions, their culture? If one day we receive a message, it is likely to come in a format completely different from our own. It could be a series of radio waves, luminous patterns, or even something we have not imagined. The key here is to recognize that it is not just a message, it is a dialogue between civilizations that may have radically different views of the universe. Ethics plays a fundamental role in this scenario. If we had the opportunity to communicate, what should we say? Should we present ourselves as peaceful and friendly beings, or should we be cautious and reserved? The decisions we make could have a lasting impact. In this context, it is important to consider history. How have we treated those we consider different? Learning from our past can guide us toward a more hopeful future. One aspect to consider is the diversity of possible forms of life. Not all extraterrestrial civilizations would think or feel the same way we do. Could they have a completely different form of life based on principles and structures that are foreign to us? This is a reminder that the universe is vast and varied, and our assumptions about life may be limited. Moreover, preparation is not limited to communication alone. It also involves how we would react emotionally. The news that we are not alone could provoke feelings ranging from joy to anxiety. Humanity has been seeking answers for centuries, and the possibility of real contact could change our perspective on life itself. How would we face the reality that our beliefs and understandings could be profoundly challenged? A proactive approach could be to educate the population about astrobiology and the search for extraterrestrial life. The more we know about the universe and our own limitations, the better prepared we will be for any eventuality. This includes fostering critical thinking and curiosity, which are essential for the advancement of humanity. International collaboration must also be considered. If one day a signal is detected, how could we unite countries and cultures with different approaches and beliefs to respond in a unified manner? History has taught us that division can lead to conflict, while cooperation can open new doors. The search for life in the universe could be a reason to unite humanity in a common purpose. In this sense, preparation for contact also includes reflecting on our own behavior on Earth. How do we treat each other? If we aspire to be members of the cosmos, we must be an example of peace and understanding. The way we communicate and collaborate with one another can reflect how we would interact with beings from other worlds. An important point to consider is that the search for life is not just a scientific endeavor, but also a spiritual and philosophical journey. The possibility of extraterrestrial life invites us to question our own existence and purpose. What does it mean to be human in such a vast universe? The answer to this question could be as diverse as the stars in the sky. Ultimately, preparation for contact with extraterrestrial life is not just about technology or science, but about culture and philosophy. It involves a commitment to respect, curiosity, and the pursuit of knowledge. As we advance in our search, it is crucial to maintain an open mind and a heart willing to learn. The search for life in the universe is, in the end, a search for ourselves, for our humanity, and for our place in the cosmos. The history of humanity is marked by exploration and discovery. Every step we take toward the unknown brings us closer to a deeper understanding of our place in the universe. So, as we search for signals in the vast ocean of the cosmos, let us not forget that the true journey begins within us. Are we ready for this exciting chapter in history? What would happen if tomorrow we received a message from extraterrestrial life? The possibility of finding an intelligent being in the vast universe not only awakens our curiosity, but also raises a series of questions that could change our perspective on the world. How would we react? What implications would it have for our society and our understanding of our place in the cosmos? The discovery of life beyond Earth could be a milestone in human history. Imagine that. Suddenly, it is confirmed that we are not alone. The news would spread like wildfire, and everyone would be caught up in a whirlwind of emotions, from joy and surprise to fear and uncertainty. But are we really prepared to face a revelation of such magnitude? Human history is full of unexpected encounters. Remember when Christopher Columbus arrived in America? That connection between two worlds changed the course of history. Cultures met, but they also clashed. And the consequences were profound. If we find extraterrestrial life, we could face a similar situation. Will we be able to learn from them, or will curiosity turn into conflict? Let's also consider the philosophical aspect. What does it mean for us as a species that there are other intelligent beings in the universe? This revelation could challenge human supremacy, the idea that we are not the center of the universe but simply one of many intelligent species. Could be a challenge to our deeply held beliefs. Are we ready to rethink our identity? It is natural to have fears about communicating with extraterrestrials. What would we say? How would we convey our intentions? History has shown that misunderstandings can lead to conflict. In such a situation, establishing a common language would be vital. But is there a universal language that transcends cultural and biological differences? Imagine a scenario in which we manage to establish contact. Would we be able to share our history, our achievements, and also our miseries? The way we present ourselves could influence how we are perceived. A message of peace and cooperation could open doors, while a hostile attitude could seal them shut. Communication is not just an exchange of information, it is a reflection of our deepest intentions. In practical terms, science would also play a crucial role. How could we ensure that our communication is not misinterpreted? Experts in astrobiology and intergalactic communication would need to work together to develop protocols. Creating an ethical framework would be essential, allowing us to act with responsibility and care. But it's not just about making contact. What would happen next? The arrival of an extraterrestrial civilization could bring technological advancements and knowledge we could never have imagined. However, it could also pose risks. History has taught us that the arrival of new forces can disrupt the balance of the known. Could we handle an external influence without losing our essence? The search for life in the universe is not just a scientific issue. It is an exploration of our own humanity. What will we discover about ourselves in the process? The possibility that there are other sentient beings invites us to reflect on our responsibility towards the planet and ourselves. If there is life elsewhere in the universe, how should we care for our home? Ultimately, the impact of such a discovery could be transformative. Science, philosophy, and spirituality could intertwine in ways we have never imagined before. The quest for answers leads us to question our existence and our choices. The possibility of sharing the cosmos with other beings could inspire a new sense of unity and purpose. Meanwhile, human curiosity continues to drive us to explore. The search for extraterrestrial life reflects our innate desire to know the unknown. Each discovery, each advancement in science brings us a little closer to the answer. But beyond finding life, what we are really seeking is to understand who we are in this vast and mysterious galaxy. Thus, the search for contact with extraterrestrial life is not just an exploration of the cosmos, but a journey into ourselves. Reflecting on how we would respond to such a discovery is crucial. It prepares us not only for the encounter, but also for growth and evolution as a species. The story of humanity is far from over, and the search for life in the universe is just one more chapter in our narrative. With each question we ask, with each answer we find, we come a little closer to discovering not only if we are alone, but also what it truly means to be part of this immense cosmos. Have you ever stopped to think about what it would mean to receive a message from an alien civilization? The idea of communicating with beings from another world is exciting, but it also raises a series of ethical questions that deserve attention. Should we send a greeting, or is it better to remain silent? The way we respond to this question could define the future of humanity. The ethics of communication with extraterrestrial life is not just a science fiction exercise, but a very real discussion that scientists and philosophers are engaging in. Like a child who finds a letter in their mailbox addressed to a friend they do not know, we face a dilemma. Do we open the letter and respond, or do we ignore it? The answer is not straightforward, and there are many layers we must consider. One of the first questions that arises is, who has the authority to speak on behalf of humanity? Earth is a diverse home, filled with cultures, languages, and traditions. If a message were to arrive from another civilization, should we respond in a single language or try to include multiple voices to represent all of humanity? Imagine we receive a greeting from a distant planet. How do we decide who the spokespersons of our species are? Moreover, the nature of communication itself becomes crucial. If we send a message, what content should it have? Should we talk about our achievements, our aspirations, or even our struggles? Sending a message is like throwing a message in a bottle into the ocean. We never know what responses, if any, will come back. Every word and every image we choose could have a significant impact on how extraterrestrials perceive us. Human history is full of misunderstandings and misinterpretations, even among ourselves. What if an extraterrestrial civilization misinterpreted our intentions? We could be seen as a peaceful species, or in the worst case, as a threat. Communication is a delicate art, and when it comes to intergalactic interactions, the consequences could be unimaginable. On the other hand, there is the possibility that communication with another civilization may not be necessary. Perhaps, like an old friend who has been silent for years, the mere knowledge that we are not alone in the universe could be enough. What if the knowledge of their existence motivated us to improve as a species without the need to interact directly with them? The idea that we could change simply by knowing there are others out there is deeply intriguing. The ethics of communication not only involves what we say, but also how we say it. As we advance in our search for extraterrestrial life, we must ask ourselves, are we ready to listen? Humility is essential. If we ever establish contact, it will be crucial to approach the situation with an open mind and a heart willing to learn. It is not just about sending a message, but about listening to what others have to say. And if we do receive a response, how should we react? The excitement of the first communication with another intelligent life form could be overwhelming. However, history has taught us that responses can be both constructive and destructive. Contact, while exciting, could bring fears and conflicts. Are we prepared to face those emotions? The social impact of a potential contact with extraterrestrial life is also an aspect to consider. Religion, politics, and culture could be profoundly affected. Many might feel that their faith is at stake. while others could see the opportunity to unite humanity in a common goal. Could we finally set aside our differences to work together toward a shared future? The ethics of communication also includes respect for alien civilizations. If we ever manage to communicate, it is essential that we do not impose our beliefs or values. We must remember that what we consider normal may not be so for them. Diversity is a richness, and just like on Earth, there may be many forms of life and ways of thinking in the universe. As we reflect on these questions, it is important to remember that human curiosity is what drives us to seek answers. The search for extraterrestrial life is not just a desire to know the unknown, but also a journey towards self-understanding. As we explore the cosmos, we can learn more about ourselves, our limitations, and our aspirations. Ultimately, the ethics of communication with extraterrestrial life invites us to consider our place in the universe. Every decision we make could have repercussions that transcend our time and space. Just as a small gesture on Earth can have a significant impact on the lives of others, the same could happen in the vast ocean of stars. The responsibility we feel toward ourselves must extend to our relationship with the cosmos. The search for life in the universe is a reflection of our own quest for meaning and connection. In the end, the question is not just whether there are others out there, but how we will choose to interact with them if we ever have the opportunity. The ethics of communication reminds us that the real challenge is not just finding life in the universe, but also finding a path toward meaningful and respectful communication. Astrobiology, that fascinating intersection between biology and the exploration of the cosmos, is evolving by leaps and bounds, and it is a topic that sparks both curiosity and hope. What mysteries remain for us to discover in this quest for life beyond our home? This field of study not only seeks to find life on other planets, but also redefines our understanding of what it means to be alive in this vast universe. Each new discovery in astrobiology can be seen as another piece in a cosmic puzzle. Can you imagine the excitement of finding a small hint of life on an icy moon like Europa? It could be just a microbe, but that tiny being would have the power to change our view of the universe. Astrobiology teaches us that life can adapt to extreme conditions. From the depths of the ocean to the most inhospitable environments on other worlds, the questions we ask are as old as humanity itself. Are we alone? What forms of life might exist on other planets? With every mission we send into space, such as the rovers on Mars or the satellites studying the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, we expand our horizon and get a little closer to answering these questions. Astrobiology is, in a sense, a journey into the unknown, where each discovery pushes us to question what we know. Right now, there are scientists around the world working tirelessly to understand how life formed on Earth. Could something similar have happened elsewhere? Laboratory experiments simulate the primordial conditions of our planet, trying to understand how simple molecules could come together to form more complex structures. This search for primitive life is not only a journey into the past, but also a guide for searching for life on other worlds. Astrobiology is also closely related to the search for exoplanets. Have you ever thought about how many planets there are in the galaxy? The answer is astonishingly large. It is estimated that there are billions of stars just in the Milky Way, many of which have their own planetary systems. Each of these planets is an opportunity to find life. However, not all of them are the same. Astrobiology focuses on those that are in the habitable zone, where conditions might be suitable for life as we know it. Imagine we find an exoplanet that has liquid water and an atmosphere similar to that of Earth. What would happen next? This is where astrobiology comes into play, which not only asks if there is life, but also how we might detect it. Observation techniques have advanced so much that we can now analyze the atmosphere of an exoplanet for chemical signatures that might indicate the presence of life. The search becomes an exciting game of cosmic detectives. And speaking of detectives, we cannot forget the importance of international collaboration in astrobiology. Scientists from various disciplines, from chemistry to astronomy, are joining forces to tackle questions that once seemed unreachable. This diversity of approaches is essential. Each perspective adds a valuable piece to the puzzle of life in the universe. Moreover, astrobiology is not limited to searching for advanced or intelligent life. Microbial life is, in fact, our most likely target on other worlds. These simple organisms could be the key to understanding how life develops under different conditions. What would they tell us about our own existence and our history? Each microbe discovered in an unexpected place on Earth offers clues about what life might be like on other planets. Missions to Mars, for example, not only search for remnants of past life, but also study the soil, atmosphere, and climate of the red planet. Could there be microbial life beneath its surface? The answer to this question could revolutionize our understanding of life as we know it. And if we find signs of life on Mars, what will we do with that information? Astrobiology also confronts us with ethical dilemmas. If we find life, how should we interact with it? Should we conduct experiments or simply observe? These questions are becoming increasingly relevant as we advance in our search. At the same time, we must consider how the discovery of extraterrestrial life could impact our own society. It could be a moment of unity or conflict, depending on how we choose to approach the finding. The future of astrobiology is bright and full of possibilities. With each technological advance, from more powerful telescopes to probes designed to explore the far reaches of the solar system, we get a little closer to answering the questions that have fascinated humanity for centuries. The desire to explore, to know, and to understand is intrinsic to our nature. So as we gaze at the stars, let us remember that each flicker of light could be a hint of something beyond. In this journey into the unknown, astrobiology invites us to dream and to question, to be curious and to never stop searching. The quest for life in the universe is not just a scientific adventure, it is an exploration of what it means to be human in a cosmos that is vast and mysterious. The search for life in our own solar system is a fascinating journey filled with possibilities and mysteries. What if I told you that there are places near us where life as we know it could be hidden? Mars, Europa, and Titan are three of those places that spark the curiosity of scientists and enthusiasts alike. Now let's think about Mars. This red planet has been the center of attention for decades. With its thin atmosphere and dust-covered surface, it seems inhospitable at first glance. But what if I told you that Mars was once a warm and wet place, similar to Earth? There are indications that in the past, Mars had rivers, lakes, and even oceans. Could it have harbored life in its youth? The rovers that have explored its surface have found minerals that only form in the presence of water. This leads us to an intriguing question. If Mars had water, what other clues about life might it be preserving underground? Imagine a tiny microbe living in a hidden corner beneath the Martian surface, protected from radiation and cold. The search for life on Mars is not just an exercise in scientific curiosity, but an attempt to connect with our own past and understand if we are alone in the universe. Now let's move on to Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. This moon is a fascinating place covered by a thick layer of ice that conceals a liquid water ocean beneath. Can you imagine what might be in those waters? Some scientists believe that beneath that ice, conditions similar to those in the depths of our oceans could exist, where life thrives in darkness. What kind of creatures could inhabit there? Perhaps organisms that feed on the geothermal energy emanating from the ocean floor of Europa instead of sunlight. The exploration of Europa has revealed geysers that expel water vapor into space, suggesting that the moon might be more active than we think. This raises an exciting question. If we can detect water vapor in space, could we also find signs of life? NASA's Europa Clipper mission, set to launch in the near future, aims to investigate exactly that. With advanced technology, it will search for signs of habitability and perhaps even evidence of life. Now let's change course and explore Titan, Saturn's largest moon. At first glance, Titan may seem like a strange place, shrouded in a dense, cloudy atmosphere. However, what makes it truly intriguing are its lakes and rivers of methane and ethane. Could life exist in such a different environment from ours? Some scientists suggest that although life on Titan would be radically different from what we know, that doesn't mean it couldn't exist. Perhaps life on Titan is based on a completely different type of chemistry. Think about this. If life on Earth is based on water, what if there are life forms on Titan that depend on liquids like methane? Imagining different types of life reminds us that nature can be incredibly diverse and ingenious. NASA's Dragonfly mission, set to launch in the 2020s, aims to explore Titan and seek answers to these questions. As we reflect on these nearby worlds, it's important to remember that the search for life is not just about finding beings like those we know. Life could take on completely different forms, adapting to the extreme conditions of each environment. This raises another fascinating question. What kind of adaptations might organisms have on Mars? Europa, or Titan. The search for life in our solar system is not just an effort to discover if we are alone. It is also an attempt to better understand how life works in the universe. Each discovery on Mars, Europa, or Titan, brings us closer to answering one of humanity's oldest questions. Could we find life in these places, or perhaps on other celestial bodies we have yet to explore? Exploring our solar system is like a journey into the unknown, where each new mission is an opportunity to discover something surprising. Science is advancing rapidly, and every day we have more tools at our disposal to investigate these mysteries. Human curiosity drives us to keep exploring, keep asking, and keep seeking answers. In the end, the search for life on Mars, Europa, and Titan is a reminder that the universe is vast and full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Each of these places offers us a window into the unknown. The possibility that life in some form may be closer than we think. Although we have not yet found definitive evidence of life in our solar system, the search continues, and with each new mission, we take one step closer to unraveling the mysteries of the cosmos. So, as we look to the stars and dream of what might be out there, let's not forget that the answer could be in our own cosmic neighborhood, waiting to be discovered. The exploration of Mars, Europa, and Titan is just the beginning of an exciting journey toward understanding life in the universe. Who knows what revelations the future holds? The adventure is just beginning. As we look into the vast universe, fascinating questions arise about how, where, and when we might find life. The search for signs of life in the cosmos is not just a topic of science fiction, but a real and methodical effort that combines human curiosity with the most advanced technology. How are these investigations conducted? What strategies are scientists using to listen through the silence of space? One of the most exciting tools in this search is the use of radio telescopes, which function similarly to television antennas, but are much more powerful. These telescopes are designed to capture radio waves traveling through space, looking for any signal that might indicate the existence of intelligent life. Imagine being in a vast, dark room, and you have to listen in silence to detect the faintest whisper. This is how astronomers work, fine-tuning their instruments to hear what could be a message from another civilization. Radio telescopes not only search for signals of life, but also examine the electromagnetic spectrum for anomalies that could be caused by advanced technology. Each star and planet emits its own music of waves, and scientists are trained to distinguish between natural noise and possible artificial signals. What would happen if we detected a signal that resembled nothing we have seen before? Another key strategy is the use of space missions that can explore other worlds. Probes and rovers sent to Mars, for example, are equipped with instruments to analyze the atmosphere and surface of the planet, searching for signs of water, organic compounds, and conditions that could have harbored life. Think of it as a detective searching for clues at a crime scene, looking for every little hint that could tell a story. Technology has also evolved to include observations from space itself. Orbiting telescopes such as the Hubble Space Telescope have revealed exoplanets and provided information about their atmospheric composition. By observing how the light from a star passes through a planet's atmosphere, scientists can detect the presence of certain gases that might indicate the possibility of life. It's as if they are looking through a window to see if there is life in a distant neighborhood. But the search doesn't stop there. Scientists are also developing advanced algorithms to analyze large amounts of data. Imagine having an immense ocean of information and needing to find a small fish in it. These algorithms help identify patterns that could be signals of life, making the search more efficient and effective. How many incredible things could be hidden in that data? International collaboration also plays an important role. Projects like SETI at home have allowed people from all over the world to contribute to the search for life. By using the computers of thousands of volunteers to process data from radio signals, a collective effort has been created in the search of the cosmos. It's like a gigantic puzzle where every small piece that comes together can bring us one step closer to solving the mystery of whether we are alone. We cannot forget the importance of planetary exploration. Missions like the Europa Clipper probe, which will head to Jupiter's moon Europa, are designed to investigate the depths of its ocean beneath the ice. By studying worlds that might have conditions similar to those of Earth, scientists hope to discover whether life could exist in environments completely different from ours. As new technologies develop, drones and autonomous vehicles are also being used to explore places that are difficult to reach. From the depths of extraterrestrial oceans to the icy surfaces of other worlds, these devices can send valuable information about their surroundings. Who knows what secrets they might reveal? The search for life also involves thinking about what life might be like on other planets. Life here on Earth is based on carbon and water, but could there be life forms based on other elements? Scientists are investigating the possibilities of life in extreme environments, from acidic lakes to methane-rich settings, expanding our concept of what could be considered alive. As we continue this search, it is essential to keep an open mind. Life may not look like ours, nor may it behave in ways we understand. Each discovery invites us to rethink our ideas about life and its diversity. Are we really prepared to accept what we might find? Finally, the search for signs of life is an ongoing journey filled with research, collaboration, and discoveries. Each attempt to listen to the universe brings us a little closer to understanding our own existence and our place in the vast cosmos. So, as we look to the stars, let us remember that every small step we take in this search reflects our incredible curiosity and desire to know the unknown. The next time you look at the sky, think about all the strategies and technologies being used to search for life. The immensity of the universe is overwhelming, but with each new discovery, we are one step closer to answering one of humanity's oldest questions: are we alone? The vastness of the universe is something that leaves us breathless. When we look at the starry sky, can we truly comprehend what it means? Each star we see could be a sun, and around each sun, planets could be orbiting. The question that arises is, how many of those worlds could harbor life? Let's reflect on this. The universe, with its infinite expanse, is like an endless ocean. In this vast ocean, Earth is just a tiny drop. However, that drop has been the crucible of life as we know it. The possibility that there are other drops, other lands where life has found a way to exist, is exciting and at the same time perplexing. What would it mean for us to discover that we are not alone? When considering the importance of knowing that we might not be alone, it is inevitable to think about how it would change our perspective. Humanity has sought answers about its place in the cosmos since time immemorial. The idea of sharing the universe with other forms of life could give us a new understanding of ourselves. How would we see ourselves if we realized that we are not the center of everything? The search for extraterrestrial life is not just a scientific curiosity. It is a journey that invites us to question our existence, our beliefs, and our history. If we find life, no matter how small, would our narratives about creation and purpose change? The story of humanity has been written under the premise of being alone. Could a discovery change the ending of that story? Imagining contact with beings from another world is a fascinating exercise. What kind of beings could they be? Would they have a physical form similar to ours, or would they be completely different? The diversity of life on our own planet is already astonishing, from the simplest organisms to the most complex creatures. If life can manifest in so many ways here, what possibilities would exist on other planets? When thinking about the possibility of life in the universe, questions also arise about how we would relate to them. If we had the opportunity to communicate with an extraterrestrial civilization, what would we say? How would we explain our culture, our emotions, and our hopes? Communication is not just an exchange of words. It is the transfer of experiences and feelings. Could we really connect with beings that have evolved in completely different contexts? The search for other forms of life also reflects our innate desire to explore. Since we dared to look up at the sky, we have dreamed of the stars. Curiosity is part of our nature. What drives us to seek answers in the unknown? Perhaps it is the very desire to understand our place in the universe that leads us to investigate beyond our planet. Every discovery about the cosmos, every new planet found, brings us a little closer to the answer. Science becomes our compass on this journey. Technological advancements allow us to look further and with greater precision. What secrets does the universe still hold for us? The search for extraterrestrial life is a reminder that there is always more to discover. This search also teaches us about the fragility and beauty of life. In such a vast universe, Earth becomes a special place. If we find life on other worlds, could we learn to take better care of our own planet? The history of humanity is full of lessons about conservation and responsibility. Perhaps the need to care for what we have is amplified by the knowledge that there is much more at stake. The immensity of the universe invites us to reflect on our connection with everything around us. Every star that shines in the sky can be a reminder that we are part of something much larger. How can we learn to live in harmony with our environment and potential cosmic neighbors? The search for life is not just a matter of science, but also of ethics and responsibility. The history of humanity is filled with unanswered questions. The search for extraterrestrial life is, in essence, a search for meaning. Who are we? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Every step we take toward understanding the universe is a step toward understanding ourselves. The search for life in the cosmos may be the thread that leads us to answer these fundamental questions. As we look to the sky, we must remember that each star is a possibility. Each galaxy is a new world of opportunities. The exploration of extraterrestrial life offers us the chance to expand our minds and hearts. What new realities could we discover if we only dared to dream? The search for life in the universe is ultimately a reflection of our own humanity. It shows us that despite our differences, we all share the same desire to understand and connect. Curiosity is a bridge that unites us across the cosmos. In the end, the importance of this search lies in its ability to inspire us and guide us toward a future full of possibilities. In conclusion, the search for extraterrestrial life is more than just a scientific exercise. It is an exploration of our essence, a journey toward understanding what it means to be human in a vast and potentially life-filled universe. Curiosity drives us to keep searching, to keep dreaming, and above all, to keep exploring. After all, the question is not just whether we are alone in the universe, but how we will see ourselves when we finally discover the answer. What does the search for extraterrestrial life really mean? In this vast universe, the question is not just whether there are other beings out there, but what it would imply for humanity if we were to find them. The idea that we might not be alone in the cosmos has captured the imagination of generations and has driven scientists, philosophers, and dreamers to look to the stars with hope and curiosity. The search for extraterrestrial life goes beyond science. It is a profound journey toward understanding ourselves and our place in the universe. Let us reflect on what this means. If we discover life on another planet, how would it change our worldview? Religions, philosophies and sciences would have to re-evaluate their fundamental postulates. Would we be able to accept that there are other beings with their own stories, cultures, and intelligences? The possibility of contact with beings from other worlds could open a new chapter in human history, one in which our cosmic loneliness would transform into a universal connection. Human curiosity is innate. Since time immemorial, we have looked to the sky and wondered what lies beyond. This tireless quest has led us to create telescopes, send probes, and explore the farthest reaches of our own solar system. But what if the results of our efforts were one day positive? Excitement, fear, and fascination would intertwine in a collective response, asking how we should act in the face of such a discovery. One of the most intriguing aspects of this search is the diversity of possibilities. Not all forms of life we might find would be similar to us. There could be beings whose biology and forms of communication are completely different. This leads us to ponder: could we understand them? Would we be able to communicate and establish a dialogue? The idea of learning from other civilizations brings with it a dimension of humility. The vastness of the universe could teach us that our experiences, while valuable, are just a small part of the immense variety of life. The search for extraterrestrial life also reflects our own history and evolution. It forces us to ask, what makes us human? Science, technology, and art are products of our unique experience, but as we look to the cosmos, we realize that we are in a constant state of learning. At its core, the search for life on other planets is a mirror reflecting our own quest for meaning and purpose. However, there is a dilemma that often arises. If we find intelligent life, should we attempt to communicate immediately? History has taught us that contact between civilizations has had varied outcomes. We could be on the brink of sharing knowledge and culture, but it could also result in dangerous encounters. The ethics of communication becomes a crucial topic. What message would we send? Would it be one of peace, curiosity, or simply a greeting? Meanwhile, our planet remains a place full of mysteries. The search for life is not limited to the stars. We must also explore and understand our own environment. The oceans, caves, and extreme ecosystems on Earth are living laboratories that teach us about life in inhospitable conditions. Every discovery here can shed light on how life might exist in other corners of the universe. Moreover, technology is advancing by leaps and bounds. The tools we use today to search for signals in the cosmos are becoming increasingly sophisticated, from telescopes that can detect distant planets to algorithms that analyze data for patterns. Innovation in science becomes an ally in our quest for answers. Each advancement brings us one step closer to discovering whether we are truly alone. We cannot forget the power of community in this journey. Collaboration among scientists, engineers, and passionate citizens has brought projects like SETI at home to life, where millions of people have contributed to the search for extraterrestrial signals. This collective effort not only showcases human curiosity, but also highlights the importance of working together to solve one of humanity's greatest mysteries. At the end of the day, the search for life in the universe confronts us with a profound existential question. What does it mean to be human? The possibility of finding life beyond our planet may be an invitation to reconfigure our identity and values. It offers us the opportunity to unite in curiosity, exploration, and the desire to learn more about the cosmos we inhabit. In conclusion, the search for extraterrestrial life is not just a scientific topic, but a journey toward reflection and understanding. Each discovery, each signal, and each theory brings us a little closer to the truth of our existence. Whether we are alone or accompanied in this vast universe, the true value lies in our curiosity and our desire to explore. The search continues, and who knows? Perhaps one day we will discover that we are not alone after all. The adventure is just beginning.